I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Hello, it's 6 o'clock p.m. The temperature.
All right, as Mr. Brooks is finding his way up here, so just anytime we have a town meeting, we're required to have a public hearing on most of the topics prior, so that's what this is. So I need to just set 15 minutes aside in case there's any questions. I think you all know why you're here, but I just want to explain the process. So at 6:15, when these questions end, we will call the meeting to order for the town portion. That's where we actually vote. So the purpose of this meeting is, as you know, the state of Connecticut has granted us $7.3 million to put clean water into Tylerville. That water line is going to run from Chester and go all the way down to the bridge, including Little Meadow and the area off there, which I know many of you are here from there, so thank you for coming. They will be taking care of well abandonment. In addition, they will be taking care of the cost to tie those homes up to the new water source. We expect to break ground next spring. They've already started, though, identifying the maps. They've already started to look to see where things are, where your septic systems are, where your wells are. And we will be reaching out to you. Connecticut Water will be sending a letter to you in the next few days if you haven't already gotten it. In addition, the town will be sending a letter. So any communication that comes forward on this, I would very much like you to just call my office or send an email. I'll be happy to update you on the process. So what happens is when the state grants us the funds, there's only certain ways that those funds can actually become part of the town. One is to be accepted into the annual budget, which we have a meeting on next week, Wednesday the 30th. And the second is by town meeting. So in order to be able to give this an account number and accept this money from the state and to start moving forward with the process, we have to vote via town meeting, that's what our charter says, to approve those funds. And once we do that at 6:15, because I see all friendly faces here, which I'm very grateful for, we will be able to send this information, document it. The town clerk will do that. We'll send it off to the state of Connecticut. The Board of Finance has a meeting tomorrow night. I will inform them of our actions, and they will create a line item in the town budget by which we will receive the grant funds to be able to pay out on this project. All right, so that's the explanation. Does anybody have any questions?
I'm
Yes?
curious, how far up does the water come already?
The water goes to Denlar Drive in Chester. So it's going to go from Denlar and come all the way up.
Okay, that's
Just as a thank you, Representative Bob Segrist is here. He did help me very much up at the Capitol in order to make sure that this happened, and we got in front of the Bobby Commission. So Bobby is a resident of Haddam, he's here to vote for it. Before Phil Miller left office, I had a show up at the Capitol and I had to shake him a lot, but he did end up helping in the process. I had to do a little yelling and screaming, but that's okay. It was for a good cause. And then Senator Arlen Harris, who's not here this evening, I want to thank him publicly too for our support. So Art did a great job in that. So we needed our state representatives to help us with this piece, because as you all know, it's taking forever to get it done. So I'm going to just say, unless there's any other questions, we legally need to wait until 6:15 to vote. So.
Just one quick question. You said
Yes.
there's no townwide vote. It's just you vote.
This is it.
This is it.
Yeah, so we vote two ways. So I mean, this is how we do it. We do it by town meeting.
Okay.
So this meeting tonight, by the yays, there's more yays than nays. This will approve the funding for the town to accept it. Again, we have to create a line item, because the town, even though it's a grant, we can't spend any money unless the townspeople say it's okay to do that. Because again, it's not part of the budget, and I didn't want to confuse the process, because the town budget is separate, and if we started adding in 7.3 million in the town budget, people would think, you know, I lost my mind or we did something crazy. So I really wanted to keep this separate. So I apologize, I know many of you have come to many meetings that we've had on this, but this is it, I promise you. I won't ask you to come to another water meeting. I will ask you to come to other meetings, so it'd be great if we start talking about other things in town. But as far as the water goes, this will take care of it. This is all we need to do.
Liz, how long do you think the plan is to get it completely installed and done?
They said, Dave, like 12 to 18 months. Yeah, so I'd like to thank you. And the cool thing too, and I said this at the last meeting, I know some of you weren't there. At first, when I met with Connecticut Water and the engineers, I was under the impression that they start and then they have to go all the way till they turn it on. That's not the case. They turn it on as they go, which is really cool. So we can start to take care of those properties sooner than later. Yeah. And you know, and listen, I mean, it's a great thing. I just need those you're all living there and the businesses that are there. Please, the construction will be as minimal as it can, but just, I know it's traffic and it's gonna be an issue, but please, 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 just hang in there a little bit longer. The contractors that work with Connecticut Water, there's a handful of them that will go out to bid, but they're very familiar with the process and they're familiar with what they need to do. So I'm really hoping that it'll just go quick. But being Haddam, we always seem to hit rock. So, yes, Mr. Bowles.
How far north of the Route 82 intersection will the main run? Or will it
I'm
not
not good
run?
at directions, so coming this way,
In other words, towards the Saybrook and Haddam? how
it'll
far?
it'll go to the Saybrook and Haddam.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah, the Saybrook and Haddam's having some issues, not with this specific contamination, but it'll go, and then that property on Brooks Court, if that does become whatever it becomes, what's ever there, whether it's residential or commercial, will also be able to hook up. So it's gonna come that far now.
Liz, where are they starting at? I know they're starting at
Denmark.
yeah, but where does the first lateral kick
think-
into?
Whatever homes are already in existence, so I believe like down where like the, that is like dog grooming, I think.
Oh, so it's gonna start from
It
there
can
and
start
and
there.
hitting
Yeah.
everybody comes
One of
out.
the issues with this that, you know, you have to remember that this is money for clean water. And even though it's gonna help with economic development, the state did not wanna hear that from us. It really had to do with the Department of Health, and DEEP had to do with water contamination. So they were not looking to cause any new development along the water, like coming down 154. So there are stretches where there's some conservation easements and like that, and the water line will not be there. It's really, the pipe will just be run.
Okay, that's what.
And there was a lot of conversation, again, about an 8-inch versus a 12-inch. And I was pushing it first for the 12, but when I found out that even though, you know, the 8 is smaller, it will give us more than what we need for future development in the area. So that was good. And then it does come down to some areas in Camp Bethel. I do know there's some residents in Camp Bethel that want to have it extended, but that's another down the road we'll have to look at. So we just need to make sure they put in a good cushion, so this $7.3 million should take care of it. Jim?
What provisions for fire hydrants?
12 fire hydrants are going in at this time. I talked to the fire marshal and to the fire chief, and at this point we have selected 12 hydrants. I forget where the locations are of those hydrants. Connecticut Water will actually pay for those hydrants. The town will have to pay for the maintenance of those hydrants once that happens. But there's 12 hydrants, which will definitely help with homeowners insurance, property insurance, and all that. So that's a good thing. Yes, Karen?
As far as the undeveloped properties that are in existence right now, when they want to hook up, will
They
they have
can.
to pay for it to be hooked up at that point?
I don't know. I don't think so. Because if they're identified on the map as an owner, even though they're empty, somebody obviously owns them, and if they're identified on that list, and I think they all are,
I was just thinking like Brooks Court, that whole, you know.
No, that piece, they will pay, the grant money will pay to hook them up. Mhm. Yep. If they so choose, because you have a choice,
Mhm.
right? You have a choice. So. All right, any other questions? All right, I'm gonna tell you to hang out and talk about, wait, so, I'm sorry.
Just
I
one
didn't
more
see it.
fast one. Connecticut Water's involved with a merger, equal to equal merger. Could that have any effect? They're merging with a much, I think a good, very good sized water company, if I'm not mistaken, on the west coast.
Mhm.
And I didn't know if that could possibly happen.
No, it won't have any effect, and Pura oversees that. Actually, it might be more beneficial, because Pura, just like they set the rates for all utilities, Connecticut Water has to go under that. But they do have exclusive rights, so that's why we're using Connecticut Water. Yep. Okay. All right, yes.
How long do you think it'll take for this whole thing to get approved and started?
Well, they're starting, so the engineers are ready to, I have bills that are like kind of almost ready to, I can't physically say I can pay them yet. The engineers have started to draw the maps, they've been down in the land use office, they've been pulling all the property maps to identify. So I think all that, they're gonna do all their due diligence, so that when it comes time to dig, they're not wasting time that way. So I'm gonna say the next, 10 months or so, they'll do that. And then let's just hope we have an early spring next year, not like we had this year, that just never seemed to happen. And they'll do, and if we have a good winter, I think you'll see them start. I don't wanna lead anybody on, like, once they put the shovel in the ground, they're telling me 12 to 18 months. But if they said it's pretty straightforward. Once they start, they just.
Okay. Is there provisions for the road to be put back exactly as it founded, or better?
Yep.
Or better?
Yep. Well, I'm sure, we had to worry about railroad crossings and all that, so the state is going to, you have to remember that right after this water comes, we have a sidewalk project coming, so I don't know what part you're talking about, but, I think that you'll put it back to decent condition. I don't think we're gonna get a new paved road out of it, but I don't know. We'll see.
Well, it's just that the people in the
Are you talking about Little
Haddam
Meadows?
Meadows,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, like, we take care of our own roads, we
Yes,
take
you
care of
do.
everything, and we pay twice as much tax as anybody else, so.
Yeah.
A little help here and there.
Yeah, but it's a private road, right?
Oh, well, if you wanna make it that way.
Yeah. We'll see what we can do.
We
I
don't
don't know
even
what we
have
have for
mailboxes,
money.
you know what I mean? We don't even have mailboxes, you know?
Yeah, no, the money's really for the for the water.
No, I understand what the
Yeah.
money's for, but,
Yeah.
you know,
They
we
dig-
take care of your road ourselves.
Yeah.
So it costs everybody.
No, but if they dig a trench and they do something, then they'll fill everything back in and put it back into the way. Yeah,
Better, I'm saying.
yeah. Well, I would think if there's some potholes, it would probably be better than the way it is. And listen, even though I know taxes are high, the roads at Haddam are horrible altogether. So we're, obviously, as you know, we've bonded for that, we've been working on that. But we have a lot of makeup to do. There's 100 miles of roads, and all our roads are not too happy right now, despite the job that Public Works is doing. Yes, John?
Just curious, how deep is this pipe gonna be?
I don't know. That's an engineering question.
I would think they'd have to go
Below the frost line, I think. Yeah, yeah,
It would be down to 4 feet.
yeah.
42 inches.
Farther as you go
Yeah,
up.
I don't know, but I'm sure it's below the frost line. Obviously, we don't want there to be any issues. And again, they're putting in water all over the state, so they just did a huge project on Mansfield at UConn. That was Connecticut Water. So they did that job up there. So, anybody else? All right, we have 1 minute.
Did you bring paper?
For voting,
For ballots?
raise those hands nice and high.
Always a wise guy.
We could just say that.
Yeah, just like No, you
Yeah,
can't say
they
that.
can't vote. I know.
Looking at the wrong way. Try looking at this one. There's plenty of scars.
All right, Mr. Brooks, it is 6:15, so we will call the town meeting to order.
We're gonna abstain with the flag. 'cause we
We're
did
gonna
already,
abstain
right?
with the vote because we did that, and I need a moderator, correct? Or do you wanna read where are we at?
You call the meeting to order, then we need a motion for moderator and seconded, et cetera.
A motion for a moderator, please? Somebody motion, Mr. Janae?
I motion,
Is Tony here?
Yes, he's right behind
Oh,
you.
I move that Mr. Jermaine.
Yeah.
I move that Mr. Jermaine be appointed as the moderator.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, Mr. Janae, it's your deal.
Didn't see him myself.
No, didn't see him, he's quiet.
You snuck in, Tony.
Snuck in.
There it is.
But I was before 6. Okay, welcome everybody. If the town clerk would read the call, please.
Legal notice, notice of public hearing and special town meeting, May 21st, 2018. Notice is hereby given, there will be a public hearing on May 21st, 2018 at 6 p.m. at the Town Hall, 21 Field Park Drive, Haddam, Connecticut, 06438, for an authorizing an appropriation of $7,300,000 for the Tylerville Water Project financed by Connecticut DEEP Grant in Aid. Notice is hereby given to all electors and others entitled to vote at town meetings of the town of Haddam, Connecticut, the town. But the special town meeting of the town will be held on May 21st, 2018 at 6:15 p.m. at the Town Hall, 21 Field Park Drive, Haddam, Connecticut, 06438 for the following purposes. 1, to choose a moderator to preside over such meeting, and 2, to consider and vote on the proposed ordinance authorizing an appropriation of $7,300,000 for the Tylerville Water Project financed by Connecticut DEEP Grant in Aid. Dated this 10th day of May, 2018, Liz Millardo, Larry Maggi, and Melissa Schlag.
Okay, so the next thing, we need a motion to accept the...
I'll make that
notice of
motion.
call. Larry, second? Second. Stu? Any discussion on the call? Any corrections? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of accepting the legal notice that was just read, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed, say nay. Okay, so legal notice is accepted. Now, normally we have a discussion. You already had discussion, so, but if there are any questions, we can entertain those once we have a motion to proceed with item 2 here. So if I could have a motion to consider the authorization of an appropriation of $7.3 million for the Tylerville Water Project financed by Connecticut DEP Grant and Aid.
I make that motion.
Okay, and we have a second.
Second, yep.
Larry, who was the second?
Sam?
Sam. Wow.
Sam, Larry?
You pick. Okay, so now we can have some discussion if anybody has any additional questions, any input. Yes.
This is a bid and contract, and I'm just wondering what if this ran over budget for the water company?
Then we have to go back to DEEP and ask them for more money.
Okay, and we would go through the same process?
Yes, but ACON put a buffer in, and we have, these are the numbers that were given to us that were given by the state, so.
Anybody else? Okay, so all those in favor of accepting the $7.3 million as a line item added to the town budget, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed, say nay. Better not. Okay, so the motion passes. Now, we need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you guys very much. I'm so happy for all of us.
Thank you, Liz.
Very well.